All right, folks. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I don't want to talk about this game at all. The quicker I can make this video, the faster I'll be able to go back and cope. Um, was at the game last night. It was an ugly weather type of game. I mean, the rain didn't stop from beginning to end. There was rain, and it amplified as the game continued. And it got worse. The weather got worse, just like the 49ers have gotten worse as the season has continued. I expected the Niners to come out and dominate. I think that was wishful thinking um, in hindsight. But the reality is, we're not a real good football team, regardless of the ifs, ands, and buts that we can put out there. The bottom line is the 49ers are 2-4. We're 2-4 as a football team. And that is who we are now. We're lucky if we go 6 and whatever now, 6 and 11. We would be lucky to win 6 games this year. Why? Because we just can't get our stuff together. Frustrating. Fans were frustrated. There were boo birds in that stadium last night. They booed Kyle Shanahan and this team, and I was one of them. Out of all the faithfuls, I was one of them that started booing. Why? Because we just did not play well. This was when they took a knee to take it into half. That's when fans really started to get agitated. Put up 12 points. I think it was 12 at half. Again, this is like a reflection again of what happened against Seattle. You go up first drive, you score a touchdown early, everything looks good, but then defensively, well, I'll give you this. Defensively, we forced some turnovers, and with this weather, I would hope so. First, I think it was like first or second play of the Colts. Niners force a turnover. Boom, fumble. We got it right there, like close to the red zone now. We were only able to manage to kick a field goal. I think we could have put them to bed early, but we didn't ultimately. Now, in the next drive, we get teams on third and longs. We have won half the battle, but all they have to do against this defense is throw a Hail Mary, and it'll automatically be a defensive pass interference for an automatic first down, and the ball is spotted where the flag is thrown. It is mind boggling the amount of defensive pass interference, not only in this game, but the entire year. Josh Norman is good for at least one or two a game. You can bank on that. But we're seeing it from Emmanuel Mosley. We're seeing it from K'Wan Williams. So it's not just Josh Norman now. It's like the entire secondary. I think Tart got flagged for one. So it's an issue. It's an issue. Teams know, like, oh, we're in 3rd and 15. It's all good. I got this. Ready? Go deep. Turn around and look at the football, man. So that's the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, we started running well. Like these misdirection runs that Kyle Shanahan put together, like the first 15 plays, it was phenomenal. Somehow we went away from that. Got into some play action, got Jimmy out of the pocket a little bit. Okay, but there was nobody open. I mean, from what I saw, I haven't seen the game on TV yet, but from what I saw, nobody was really open. And if they were, it required a quarterback with a way stronger arm, which Jimmy isn't that. But he has to work with what he has, and ultimately, this is where we're at. I honestly don't know where to start. Like, where do you even fix this team? Because it comes down to execution, sure, but it's almost like you have to like focus on one area first and try to perfect that. And I think it's like that run block is great, but then when we get to like route running, we've heard this with Brandon Ayuk, it's not great. That's what sucks. And there's where do we go from here? I don't know, but let's listen to Coach after the game. He already looks a little bit depressed.
Deep Ford right at the end was taken out to be evaluated for a head injury. Don't have that yet. Go ahead.
What did you tell your team after this, and just how do you assess where this team is right now after this game?
I mean, pretty down on there right now. I mean, losing 4 games in a row over the, it's been a month, and that's tough. I mean, it was tough. These last 2 weeks, losing 3 in a row, and we just added another to it. So, doesn't make it any easier. I told the guys they got to be tough-minded. They got to stick together. I think we got guys with high character in there. I think we got good enough football players, and we got to handle whatever we're going to get, and we got to come back and play better next week for Chicago.
The only way you can really sell this season to the fan base moving forward, because we're not a playoff team, let alone a Super Bowl contender, is starting Trey Lance. We get no benefit like starting Jimmy Garoppolo from here on out because Jimmy isn't in our future plans. Jimmy may be gone. No, Jimmy is gone next year. Jimmy is gone next year. He's not going to help us next year. Put in Trey. He will. And I don't care if he looks bad. I don't care if we lose the rest of the way. But at least you're giving him that experience right now. That's what we need. We need him to have reps. He hasn't played in like a year and a half now. And having him sit on the bench with a team that can maybe win 6 games this year is not going to help him either. So I hope that Shanahan really thinks this through and look. It's self-reflection time. This team isn't really good. They're not going to be good. Maybe Trey Lance could give him some sort of spark, but I'm not even like considering that. I just want the kid to develop. Let's develop him. And there's a way of doing that, Kyle, without getting the man injured. Why don't we like not run it with our quarterback 10 times like we did against Arizona? How about we actually give him like go back to the basics, man. That's what it comes down to. Like if you're going to make this move, let's go back to the basics and build from there. Because honestly, you keep throwing Jimmy Garoppolo out, it's like you're getting a faster ticket out of San Francisco. And if that's what you want, then hey, let's make this happen. This tell us. But nobody is going to be interested if Jimmy Garoppolo is the starter moving forward. Because I can tell you this, if Jimmy starts next week, we may lose to the Chicago Bears. We lost to the Colts, guys. I don't think you understand how terrible the Colts team has been. And the fact that we've lost to a Colts team that came in with, a 2-4 record, and they won pretty handily after, taking control of the game, it spoke volumes to me. And that this team isn't ready to compete, so why are we holding Trey Lance on the bench? I can see if we were closer to 500, maybe we showed more potential in the last 4 games where, okay, we can really compete with the big boys. But let's not be fooled here. Like, we can't beat the Colts at home Sunday night. We're not a good football team. That's the bottom line. And that's what we need. This is the result we got. So this is who we are. And I'm willing to accept that only if we develop Trey Lance, because we gave up our future for this kid. And I hope that we're developing him to be our franchise quarterback. And I think, maybe you guys can tell me if I'm wrong. I think I have the majority of the fan base here with me with that.
The team has been tough.
I hope.
It has stuck together.
Has stuck together.
You think the team? You said you told the team to be tough-minded and stick together. Do you think they've done that up to this point?
Yeah, I think they've definitely done that. Yeah, I've never felt anything close to our team breaking.
What's been going on this season with the defensive pass interference penalties, and why hasn't that been rectified after all this?
We're not doing it good enough. I mean, that was, it's been a struggle all year. Today was the worst. It's always harder getting your footing out there and stuff, but it is for them also. And, until the end, until they started making some of those, we gave them way too many explosive freebies.
And what I would also like to see moving forward is giving these rookies an opportunity to just see who we have. Play Diamador Lenore at corner. We have to see what we have moving forward. Who else? Play shit. You could put Hufanga back there too at safety. Trey Sermon. Give Trey Sermon the football more. Hell, you can even, once Trent Williams get back, move Jalen Moore to right tackle. See what he can do with McGlinchey out. Like, this is where we're at, guys. And we all know we don't want to be in this position again. This reminds me of like 2017, where it's just like, okay, we're still in the process, but maybe next year we have something. The bottom line is we're just not good. And what do football teams that aren't really good do? They see what they have in their rookies. They develop players. Like, if you have a rookie quarterback, they start plugging them in, starting them. That's where we're at, man. That's where we're at. And the 49ers just have to admit their mistake. It was a mistake keeping Garoppolo in the roster and just starting him. Now you just have to rip the Band-Aid off, because this slow, death is painful. It's painful to watch on Sundays.
And especially those 2 touchdown drives in the first half.
What did you see in that?
With the challenge when it seemed pretty clear that you couldn't really get anything from it.
Yeah, that was a mess up by us. I didn't see it at all. I'm looking down, looking at the stuff, and we knew that there was a fumble. Everyone was yelling that there was a fumble and stuff, and to throw it, and then it's very weird, but the headsets completely went out, and that's why if you guys see me sitting there talking to the guys, I was like, I threw it because we thought it was a fumble, but
Okay. So here's an explanation that I finally got about the game. That weird challenge flag. And everyone at the stadium didn't know what the hell was going on, because it was clear. Even they showed it on the big screen. The Colts had fumbled clearly, but they had recovered clearly. And so the only thing I can really think of that the 49ers may have challenged is like he fumbled and then the ball went back behind the line of scrimmage. But even then, it looked like where they recovered the football was well past the first down sticks. So the challenge flag didn't make sense at all. At all. He's saying that the headset went out. This excuse has been used more than once, Kyle. Jesus Christ. The excuse of the headset went out. Classic. That's a classic Kyle Shanahan excuse. Let's keep listening. Let's see what
can't get a
else he has
hold
to
of
say.
anybody. They were going to give it back to me. They said it was all right. Let me take it back, but NFL called in and said I had to stick with it. So once we talked to them, we knew we were kind of screwed on it.
What were the elements like today?
Okay, so he throws a flag because the sideline's yelling that it was a fumble. Okay, we all know that was true. Headset went out all of a sudden, and he ended up throwing it. I don't believe him. That's the bottom line. I just don't believe him. It would have been better if he just said, I hit, the folks upstairs saw one thing, I saw another thing here, so I ended up throwing it prematurely. It was a mistake. I shouldn't have thrown that flag. And it really didn't help defense because we're just coming off a half. Like, it didn't really affect the game one way or the other. But it's just how the season has gone. It's like nobody's on the same page. Nobody is executing. It just looks like we are dysfunctional. And that's what it really boils down to. It's not because, the challenge flag was unsuccessful. It's just how we went about it. And from the looks of it, there's a little bit of dysfunction going on with the 49ers. That's the true bottom line of all of this.
And how did that affect quarterback play in Jimmy Garoppolo's play?
I think we we struggled to throw and catch a lot more than they did. That's what it looked like.
What happened in the second quarter? You guys got off to a fast start offensively, didn't have a first down in the second quarter. What adjustments or changes did they make there?
Nothing. Nothing changed fronts or coverage-wise the entire game. I think we came out hot the first quarter. I think avoided all those third downs on the first drive, from what I remember. Had the run game going and a few things off of and got the explosive.
Third downs. We went 1 for 11 on third downs. It's not even an issue this game. It's been an issue all year. 1 for 11 on third downs. That's the money down that people talk about. So you couple that with we have turnovers, make penalties on the field. That's losing football. Losing football. This is what I mean. Going back to the fundamentals and playing smart. We just aren't.
And for about 2 quarters after that, I felt like it was always 3 and out. We couldn't make the big play, whether it was on a pass or a run. And when we couldn't make the big play, it means you got to do well on third down.
Oh my God. I wish you guys can see this. Hold on. I just saw this. The like and dislike ratio, 61 to 132. Now, I haven't seen anything like that in a 49ers video in a very long time. That's how it is. That's how bad it's gotten. Like, it's reached YouTube level dislikes.
And I think you guys saw how that went.
You probably don't want to make roster declarations now, but 4 straight losses, do you have to start looking at some personnel changes?
And I think we have changed personnel a lot each week in these 4 games. So I'm not sitting in to go and make something drastic right now. I'll go evaluate the tape and stuff, and hopefully we'll get a couple more guys back this week. But we'll look at what gives us the best chance, and we'll evaluate those guys through the week and build off of that.
It's not even about who gives you the best chance anymore. It's just about who the future is. And the future is Trey Lance. So he said what he had to say, but it really comes down, if Trey Lance is healthy, he should start moving forward. That's just the bottom line. And if he's good to go this Sunday against the Chicago Bears, he should start. And if Jimmy Garoppolo is going to start over Trey Lance, I'm tuning out, bro. I can't watch that. What's the point? For who? For what? If you win, I guess, bravo. But it doesn't mean anything. Not with the competition that we have. Like, we're just not playing good football, guys.
That.
Will you stick with Jimmy Garoppolo as your starting quarterback next week against the Bears?
I would guess so. I'm going to watch this tape and see if guys are healthy, first of all. I don't even know where our guys are at.
I would guess so.
Good for Jimmy. I mean, to be able to
Maybe
get healthy.
that's a good sign if he says, I would guess so. But even then, I would rather him say in that question, I think Grant Cohn asked, would Jimmy Garoppolo be your starter moving forward? I'd have to evaluate all quarterbacks at this point. Hey, I'll take that. But if you say I would guess so, I mean, it's still likely that he may start Garoppolo, which is a bummer.
Enough to play in this game today.
Well, you acknowledge the pass defense issues. What can you do next? Can you make some personnel changes?
Again, you had to win this game to stay competitive. You're now 2-4. Instead, you could have been 3-3. You start Garoppolo, then like week 8, nobody's complaining because we won. The fact that Garoppolo wasn't able to beat a pretty like average Colts team at home just spoke volumes to everyone in the fan base. You're just not good, man. Why don't we just start Lance? So this is going to be a big decision for Kyle. I know that, Kyle, because for some reason you just want to stick with the guy you paid so much money to. But this is what I'm talking about, ripping the Band-Aid off quick. You have to be able to move on when you make mistakes in the NFL, because if you don't, if you stick to your guns and it just continues to go against you, you are buying your way out of this place. I said, if they don't beat the Colts, I don't even know what the conversation's like. Well, I think the consensus around the fan base is like, Kyle's seat just got warm, man. It got a little warm. Even those who don't think, like, oh man, like give him another year. Hey man, you have to consider, this looks really bad. This is really bad. To the point where you have to put a little pressure. You have to apply that pressure. And it's unfortunate, but this is where we're at.
Can you change the scheme? How can you try to fix those pass returns?
I mean, you got the guys that you have in your building, and you can just, every time a guy messes up, you can change and give someone else a shot. But, we work pretty hard at that, and so do our guys do throughout the week to try to get the best guys out there. Obviously today, it did not improve. It's going to be real tough to get guys off the field with those PIs, and, stuff isn't going to get better if we can't fix it.
Nice throws in the first drive when he rolled to his opposite side, and then he had the one real strong drive in the fourth quarter where they 3 passes and you get a touchdown. And other than those 2 drives, what went on in between?
We didn't get a big play in those others. We had a couple opportunities for them, didn't get them. On that first drive, we hit all of them. On that last drive, we hit all of them. Both of them, I believe, we avoided third down on all of them and got a bunch of explosives, and it seemed pretty easy.
All right. I kind of just don't want to even watch the rest of this. Jimmy Garoppolo was also at the podium after the game. Heard that he was giving out excuses, giving out his injury excuse. So I kind of want to talk about that a little bit here. But it's just, this team it's hard to root for, man. It really is. I'm trying my best to like keep it, but let's watch.
It's tough. It's very tough, especially just how the losses have come. Just got off to a good start tonight, and it was just we didn't sustain it throughout the whole game.
The fuck is happening?
On the right track this week with Chicago.
I mean, what changed in the second quarter? Did they make any adjustments? Or what did you see in terms of why they were able to have success slowing you guys down?
I'm not too sure exactly. I got to go back and look at the film, but I think, the weather played a little bit of a role, started to pick up there a little bit, but we just didn't execute. I think just it was too many mistakes stacked on top.
It's always the execute part. When are we going to move past that execute part? This is what I say. It's like we're doing the same thing and expecting a different result, it seems like. It always boils down to execution. I kind of would like to ask them, like, okay, what would you do different in your routine to avoid having these execution issues as a team? It's probably more a question for Kyle, but individually, to stay in the game, keep your head in the game, as they say, what are you going to change in order to avoid that? Because it's a constant thing this year. Execution. And there's no accountability anywhere, especially offensively. It's always like, we need to execute better. We need to play better. We need to do better this, that, and the third. But it's never like, I need to do a better job, throwing the ball downfield. I need to be more accurate in those plays. I need to protect the football.
Top of each other. One guy would make a mistake.
This is what leaders do. They take the responsibility. It's not a we thing at that point. It's a me thing. I need to play better because I freaking suck right now.
Like here, one there, and that's just not. You can't do that and win football games consistently. So I think it's just we just gotta get back to the drawing board. We can't make this many mistakes back to back like that.
How did the elements affect you out there? Holding on the ball, etc.
That was my first time wearing gloves. They actually worked out really well, so I thought I could spin it pretty well still in it. Like I said in the beginning, it was a lot less than it was later on in the game. As it started to pick up more and more, it became difficult at times with the footing and everything. But I mean, we've played in stuff like this before, so it wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah, later in the
Tommy
game,
V,
in the
imagine
early in
blaming the
fourth quarter,
weather. What
out
went
of
succeeded
nowhere,
in
after
it.
a lot of 3 and outs, you get 3 big passes in a row. What clicked all of a sudden?
I wouldn't say anything clicked. It was just we went out there and executed. Debo had a great route on the first one, the longer one down the right sideline to get open. Ran a great route, got himself open. Then the one to Charlie, that really wasn't even how the play was drawn up, but they.
Speaking of Charlie, I was looking at the stat line before I started recording. Let's actually pull that up. Let's view box score. Hilarious. Charlie Warner had 2 catches. Brandon Ayuk had 1 catch on 1 target. Charlie Warner has 2 targets, baby. 2 targets. Mohamed Sanu, 1 target. Jermichael Hasty, 6 targets. Juwan Jennings, 2. Ross Dwelly, 2. Brandon Ayuk, 1. I just found that funny. I just found that stat line funny. I mean, Brandon Ayuk continues to just get pushed all the way down by this team. We're not about to do that. While we're here, Elijah Mitchell, I think he balled out. Jonathan Taylor for the Colts, 18 carries on 107 yards. He was fantastic. 1 touchdown. Elijah Mitchell matched him. Is this true? Is this an actual, identical stat line here? This is crazy. 18 carries for both running backs, 107 yards, 5.9 average, 1 touchdown. Taylor's longest was 33, while Elijah Mitchell's was 20. That's incredible. I didn't even notice that. Same stat line. That's fantastic. Debo Samuel just balled out. 7 receptions, 100 yards, a touchdown. This guy's just been phenomenal all year. No complaints here. He's been the only consistent 49er all year. Who else? I mean, I'm trying to think. Who else has really played at a high level all year other than Debo? I can't really think of anybody else. I mean, I can't even put Nick Bosa up there. He didn't have a sack. I mean, he has pressures. He does do a good job. Don't get me wrong. He's been playing great. But when it comes to stats, Debo has been consistent across the board every game. Love to see it. Michael Pittman Jr. had a fantastic game as well. Again, the Niners really killed themselves with the defensive pass interference. Let's look at the team stats for that. So we have penalties, 7 penalties. Okay, get this. 7 penalties for 100.
With 300-degree wind.
Yeah, let's shut that up. 122 yards. The Colts had one less penalty for just 45 yards. 122 yards, bro. That's adding another element to your offense. It's like passing, rushing, and penalties. That was the Colts offense right there. We already talked about 1 for 11 on third downs. That was kind of ridiculous. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. Is like, it wasn't even a problem rushing. It wasn't a huge problem passing. The Colts won because they won that penalty battle, and we shot ourselves in the foot. And I mean, you have 4 turnovers, bro. Sorry, you can't even see that. 4 turnovers. That's also a huge issue. It's like, yeah, we forced the ball out twice, but on top of that, we also gave it up 4 times. Losing football, man. That's all that comes down to.
They kind of dropped him in coverage, hit him, and then Debo made a play at the end there, kind of an off-schedule play. So it's kind of like I was saying before. It's us executing. We got to go out there, execute, make the plays when we get the opportunity, and if we do that, we could get on the right track. But it's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of hard work at this point.
On the second interception, it seemed like the ball may have slipped out of your hand a little bit as you were trying to get over to Juwan.
The one at the end?
Yeah. And then just kind of, it seemed like you were standing there just kind of dazed for a second, just soaking it all in. What was going through your mind?
Yeah, that one just, I didn't get on top of it, didn't finish the throw, so it sailed. I don't know, it was just the whole night, you know. It's tough playing in that weather to begin with, you know, just the mental toughness.
Blaming the weather. There we go. First excuse. It's tough playing in that weather. Well, no shit. It's rain.
You have to have, but then when things are going wrong like that, it makes for a tough night. So it was very frustrating, but you know, we're gonna stick together. We got a team that, you know, we do have playmakers, we got players, we got good coaches, and we got to stick together at this point.
How did the calf feel during the game, and how did you come out of this one?
It held up, I'll say. Definitely felt it at times, but
talking about his calf, it held up. Hold on, let me see if I could go back.
You know, it sort of is. It held up, I'll say. Definitely felt.
Come out of this one.
It held up, I'll say. Definitely felt it at times, but you know, it sort of is what it is. I think all the guys out there, we're all playing with something right now, so just kind of it's that point of the season.
Is there something you feel like you're gonna have to manage for a little longer?
I don't know.
The fact that he just like threw it out there, it held up. I'm not 100%. Just so y'all know. That bothers me. He didn't even say much. He didn't have to say much, though. I know he was asked about his injury, but nobody wants to hear that, man. You freaking lost. And the fact that you're not healthy just speaks of what type of player you really are, injury prone. Maybe Martellus Bennett was right. Oh, man.
We'll see.
I haven't even
I
showed
feel
y'all
it,
that
but
video, huh?
it's not hindering me at all, I'd say.
You have a lot of guys that have been in the system for a little while now. Can you pinpoint why there are so many mistakes being made at this point?
I don't know. I don't have one specific thing. I think it's.
That's kind of how I feel. And the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't know either.
Can you pinpoint why there are so many mistakes being made at this point?
Can you pinpoint why there's so many mistakes? Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't know, then how the hell are we supposed to
I don't
know?
know. I don't have one specific thing. I think it's, we just gotta, whatever play is called, we just have to go out there and execute it. So
that execute thing, it bothers me. I just create a shirt that says we have to just go out there and execute. Because that's just the bottom line, right? That's everything. Like in life, I just have to go out there and execute. I'll be successful. I just got to go out there and execute. How though? How are we supposed to do that? Huh? Are we going to talk about the how? Or are we just going to brush right through that?
it's just about putting in more time, more effort, staying longer, putting in more hours, things like it's the little things at this point. And
the thing I'm noticing too is like players like Joe Staley, DeForest Buckner, are Patrick Willis's of the world. They are truly being missed in a type of locker room like this right now. Now, don't get me wrong, we have good leaders like Kittle, like Fred Warner. But I don't think they're at the level of Joe Staley. Maybe Fred. But you need like two of those guys in your locker room. One defensive, one offense. So you can really bring this team together. As much as we want to say, oh, Trent Williams could be a leader. Is he really, though? Is he really a good leader? Nick Bosa performs well, but he's not a vocal leader. He doesn't look like the vocal leader type that's going to rally the troops around him. He's more like action, right? He's more like my play is going to speak for me, and that's fine. But we need a strong leader. Like what's happening with the wide receivers. And maybe Debo can really transform into this because his level of play has been way more consistent than anybody else's. But that true leader, like that Emmanuel Sanders of the world that just comes in and just impacts those type of receivers, that's kind of missing right now. You would hope Jimmy Garoppolo would kind of be that type of player, but he's not. That's just the bottom line. He's just not that type of player that's going to bring the troops home and be like, all right, we're going to do this now. We're going to practice with intensity. We're going to play better. There just isn't that. Sorry.
The NFL is a
guess we
crazy
could just
thing. It's
finish watching this.
1 week you're on top, and 1 week you're at the bottom of it, and it's just every team has their ups and downs, and we're at a lower end of the point right now, but we can fight back.
Last one. Jimmy, was there any fun trash talking between you and DeForest during the game?
No, Defo was pretty locked in that whole game.
The other thing that bothers me is his smiling. I think this is who he is, and I don't want to knock his personality, but I don't want to see that from a leader after a loss. After you've lost 4 in a row as a team. How about we try to get more serious and just be more professional and more aggressive with your answers because you're upset.
Game. We were too, but
it's just one of those things. Like, does it really matter to you?
No, I nothing out of the ordinary, I would say. Go ahead, Jennifer.
How did Jalen Moore do today?
Jalen did good. He did. He really did.
Okay, so the rest of that doesn't really matter. I said I wanted to make this video short, but it ended up prolonging into like 40 minutes. So that just how the wind blows sometimes. I'm going to have a lot more videos to talk about this, especially if Trey Lance is going to be the quarterback moving forward. Hopefully he's healthy enough to play this Sunday coming up against the Bears. But for now, I'm just going to leave the video as is. We're going to end it here. Thank you so much, folks, for joining. And as always, we'll see you on the next one. Peace.